Pokémon as a franchise and concept needs no introduction. It has been ubiquitous since its creation in the mid to late 90s, and being the zillennial that I am, it has essentially always been a part of my life. Pokemon's Indigo League anime run, in particular, was a constant companion in my childhood. Not only would I watch it on TV, but I eventually acquired the entirety of the show on DVD and watched it all the way through with my younger brother. The entire show means a lot to me, as does Pokemon Yellow, amongst many other games and iterations of the franchise, but there were always certain episodes that stood out to me and that I would think of and revisit throughout the years. One such episode is The Ghost of Maiden's Peak, episode 20 of this first season. It may sometimes be labeled as the 19th episode, as episode 18, Beauty and the Beach, was banned in the United States due to James's voluptuous cross-dressing. Down with censorship! Regardless of the number attributed to it, today I am going to revisit the story of Maiden's Peak and show it the appreciation it deserves. Quick shout out to how amazing the original Pokemon opening theme is. It can never be overstated how epic it is, and the lyrics for pretty much any English Pokemon opening are so positive and inspirational, and I absolutely love it. The episode opens to a beautiful scene, a full moon illuminating a shoreline. We see a stone in the shape of a beautiful woman, a ghost protruding from it stating, "I'm waiting for you. Come back to me. Return to your beloved." The ghost morphs into a ghastly, stating again, "I'm waiting for you." Title sequence commences, naming the episode. Our reliable narrator tells us Ash and friends have been sailing on a ferry to continue their Pokemon journey. Maiden's Peak becomes visible on the horizon, and the protagonists get excited as this is their destination. Brock is feeling down as summer is ending and he didn't meet a girl. He will miss seeing girls in their bikinis. I kind of forgot how thirsty and kind of weird Brock could be, but that's our boy, I guess. And exactly how old is he supposed to be again? Tailing at the back end of the boat, tied by a rope, are Team Rocket. We're really at the end of our rope, Meowth states. The first of many puns. They all head ashore as the ship docks, and the town of Maiden's Peak invites the passengers to join in on their annual end of summer festival. Ash and Misty are excited, while Brock still mopes. In the distance, he spots a beautiful woman. We, and seemingly Pikachu, see her turn to Ghastly before disappearing. Team Rocket plot to find fallen change dropped by festival goers. James then spots the beautiful woman as well. As our protagonists make their way through the festival, Brock is approached by an old woman. She warns him to beware of a beautiful young woman, lest he meet a cruel fate. Misty's confidence is high, assuming she is the beautiful woman, but claims she'd never hurt Brock. She is then kind of destroyed by the old woman and Ash. Tired of being insulted, she drags the boys away. As she does so, Brock reflects on the woman's words, but states that, in fact, the cruelest fate would be to never see the beautiful woman again. Cut to Team Rocket scrounging for cash, but finding nothing. Finally, James does spot a penny. The old woman confronts him as well. She tells him he's up to no good, and there's no good in his future either, which is a bit harsh. She warns him of the beautiful woman as well. "I see a young and beautiful woman who will lead you to a cruel fate." "I don't need a fortune teller to know that," James replies. "Some woman is always causing me trouble. It's a curse. Ugh." Jesse pipes in annoyed. "Who do you mean?" Officer Jenny then interrupts, believing Team Rocket to be doing good, as any money lost must be reported to the authorities, even a penny. That feels a bit tyrannical, but okay. Also, Rip the Penny, the last one was produced on November 12th, 2025. Team Rocket runs from the Popo instead of following Officer Jenny to the station to file a report on the lost money. We then cut to the shrine of the Maiden, where a 2,000-year-old painting resides. It is removed for display only once per year, during this end of summer festival. As the painting is revealed, the man doing so asks the public to please gaze with reverence. James and Brock recognize the woman as who they saw earlier that day. Also, the song that plays is so hauntingly beautiful. The entire soundtrack adds to the show so much, but this piece, entitled Prayer, evokes such bittersweet feelings. It also plays when Charmander is abandoned and left alone in the rain, which is a heartbreaking scene. Entranced, the two men walk towards the painting but are blocked. They are told the woman in the painting perished over 2,000 years ago. Her story is revealed. She was in love with a brave and handsome young man, but he left her and sailed away to fight in a war. We hear the past maiden say, "I'll wait for you forever. Come back to me. Farewell." The man telling the story continues. And she did wait for a very long time, hoping to see his ship on the horizon. But her true love never returned to that place again. Still, she waited and waited, never moving from that spot, until finally her body was turned into stone, just like that cliff upon which she stood. To this day, she waits for her love to return. That is kind of a beautiful story in a haunting way. This also made me think about how wonderful and meaningful it is to have stories and traditions pass through the ages. It shows a respect and connection to our past, to our ancestors. It keeps culture alive. Thinking about this 2,000-year-old painting being preserved, how it is celebrated and its story told every year is beautiful. This is something that is lacking and lost in the United States, as we are such a young nation that historically browbeat the culture out of its citizens, forcing adaptation to the shallow capitalistic hell in which we live. Our society can lack the reverence and awareness of our past, and we can feel disconnected from our human nature, a nature that is inherently inclined to tell stories and build community, to learn from and respect the older generations. Look to ancient cave art, the oldest verified being from nearly 68,000 years ago in Indonesia. It's marvelous to ponder. Japan, being the genesis of Pokemon, has a much older, more continuous culture and history than the US, and I think it was good for American children to be introduced to that, even if a lot was lost in translation. I'm looking at you, jelly-filled donuts. Resuming the episode's plot, Brock wishes to see the Maiden's Rock. Our heroes head there, as does Team Rocket. Brock and James continue their admiration. Meowth proposes stealing the ancient painting, an idea that Jessie agrees with. Brock stays staring at the rock for hours, refusing to leave. Ash and Misty are hesitant to leave him, but he promises to make it to the Pokemon Center before curfew. Alas, he does not, and curfew is apparently at 11 p.m. I do like that there is this sense of the adults around the Kanto region looking out for the kids wandering the lands. Nurse Joy ensures the kids head to bed. What I don't love is that they are bolted inside the center so no one can get in or out. Meanwhile, Team Rocket are staked out in front of the shrine, hanging in sleeping bags, which I remember thinking looked cool, but it also looks like you'd get some crazy neck pain. Meowth wakes up to his alarm, ready to steal the painting, but Jessie and James remain asleep. The maiden's ghost steps out of the shrine, hypnotizing Meowth and waking James. She also goes to Brock. The next morning, Ash, Misty, and Pikachu head to the shrine to look for Brock. They encounter Jessie and Meowth, who are looking for James. Jessie begins the classic Team Rocket oath, performing both parts, until James's voice can be heard muffled in the distance. He bursts out of the shrine, Brock following behind. Just then, the old woman reappears, claiming it was just as she predicted, and the two had obviously seen the ghost of the maiden. The boys then claim to love her, even hugging each other in their possession. Pikachu then shocks them back to normal. Brock is funny here. He looks around dazed and says, "Who am I?" "I am Brock," and nods. The old woman tells the group that all men who pass by fall under her spell, always found at the shrine, acting like zombies with the life sucked out of them. Ash takes off his hat also, out of respect when in the shrine, which I just wanted to point out, harkening back to my respect diatribe earlier. Brock seems to still be in love with her, but James is scared. The old woman sells them anti-ghost stickers to help keep the ghosts away. The whole crew places them around the shrine and on the affected men. Night falls, and they wait for the ghost to reappear. The ghost bursts through the shrine, taking Brock, who goes willingly. James is taken as well, perhaps because Jessie and Meowth used freebie stickers on him. He repeats, "I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go." Jessie shoots at the ghost, telling her she can't take James and that she hasn't got a ghost of a chance. Classic pun. James is touched that she cares so much, but Jessie explains it's actually because girls like that disgust her. She continues, always waiting around for her man as if she was his faithful pet. She can't stand the thought of losing him. She cries, but I say, "See you later." Go off, feminist Jessie, I'm so here for it. And I kind of agree. As much of a romantic as I really truly am, I agree that one should not solely live for another. Ultimately, you have to craft a strong enough sense of self to be stable on your own and decide life is worth living for you. Loyalty is important. As a Scorpio, I feel that more than others, but it gets to a point. The ghost is angered by this and begins to attack. Ash's Pokedex lands on the Maiden's ghost and identifies her as a Ghastly, a ghost Pokemon usually invisible and specializing in hypnosis. Ghastly reveals itself as both the Maiden and the old woman. And the voice for Ghastly, by the way, is perfect. He uses his hypnosis attack on the group's various Pokemon, and the following battle is really cool and different. Against Pikachu, he uses a mousetrap. He distracts Meowth with a cat toy. He conjures up a mongoose to scare off Ekans. The mongoose then wears a gas mask and steps on coughing as Ghastly states smoking is prohibited. A fire extinguisher quells Charmander, and facing off against Squirtle and Bulbasaur are their fully evolved forms, Blastoise and Venusaur, who fuse together to make Venustoise. It reminds me of that fat failed Gotenks in DBZ. Misty doesn't use any of her Pokemon, instead facing against Ghastly with a cross, garlic, a wooden stake, and a hammer. Ghastly asks, "What do I look like, a vampire or something?" Just then, a bell tolls. Ghastly stops, saying, "I may not be a vampire, but I hate sunlight. It's time for me to go until the next festival. Don't forget the ghost of the Maiden. She and the old lady will return next year, too." We cut to seeing lanterns adorned with various Pokemon, and there also seem to be some unidentified Pokemon on them as well, which is pretty interesting. Officer Jenny explains, "At the end of every summer, the visitors send out these tiny boats, each with a candle to help light the way for any wandering spirits who can't find their way back home." We see Ghastly on one such boat saying, "This summer is over, but your legend will continue to live on." The real ghost of the Maiden then appears, thanking Ghastly. He replies, "My pleasure. I enjoy keeping alive all the old legends that people have forgotten over the years. And if I do a good job of it, I make a few bucks too." This echoes my earlier point, and I really do find this exchange to be quite beautiful. It continues with the Maiden's reply, "I'll see you again next festival. I'll be waiting until that day when my true love returns to me at last." "Well, I am a ghost Pokemon," Ghastly says. "Perhaps one day I'll meet the young man you love, and if I do, I'll remind him that his maiden still longs for him to return." "Thank you, and goodbye," the Maiden says before her visage disappears back into the rock. It really is poignant. We see Brock lament, looking at the rock before we cut to the celebration of the festival. Team Rocket is having fun, banging some drums, and Meowth plays the flute. Ash and Misty then dance together with the other festival goers dressed in their yukatas, another sign of tradition and culture. The narrator takes us home saying, "And so the summer festival draws to a close. There's autumn in the air, which means that poor Brock won't get back to the beach until next year. But cheer up, Brock. A lot can happen in a year's time. Who knows what new adventures and romances are waiting just over the horizon. To be continued." The Poke Rap segment of the week then plays. It was the final segment of the song, in case you're curious. Wow, this episode was more beautiful than I remembered. The story was great, and it feels like a nice break from the usual Pokemon action while still introducing us to a new Pokemon. I also loved the end of summer, so the festival vibes were brilliant. Perhaps the cultural appreciation and desire to connect to the past and keep the beautiful art and stories of humans past alive that I mentioned is something that comes more with age, but it is very important to have that and introduce that concept to children. I also remembered how when I was younger, I wanted to dress as the ghost of Maiden's Peak for Halloween, and I totally could have, as I had long lavender hair for a good bit in my mid-20s. Alas, it didn't happen, and I honestly don't think I've dressed up for Halloween since, like, 2008, but for anyone else out there, it would be a great costume. I would love to know your thoughts on this episode in the comments. Thank you for watching. I will certainly revisit more Pokemon episodes in the future. I have so many things I want to and will talk about on my channel. It's just a matter of when the inspiration and hyperfixation strike. I hope you'll subscribe and be around whensoever it does happen. I'll be waiting for you. I'll see you again next video.